vegetarian, Jada?
Yeah.
What does it mean to be a vegetarian?
Mommy's vegetarian.
What does it mean?
Don't eat meat.
That's right.
Vegetarian said eat meat. Vegetarian don't eat meat.
That's right.
I'm a vegan now. So in today's video, I want to talk about how I started off as a vegetarian, why I stopped being a vegetarian, why I became a vegetarian again, and why I'm now a vegan. So here's my story. For the first 6 years of my life, I was a vegetarian, and my mom had low platelets, which basically means your blood doesn't clot up, or so if she got like a little cut, it would bleed a lot, and she got bruises easily. And so she read this book called Eat Right for Your Type, and basically means blood type, eat right for your blood type. She was a vegetarian too, and for our blood type it was saying that it's good to eat like certain meats, and it had like a whole list of stuff. And so she was like, maybe this is what I need to help me, like maybe this is the best diet for me. And since I have the same blood type, we both started eating meat. I stopped being a vegetarian when I was 6, and then I became a vegetarian again when I was 16. The reason why I became a vegetarian again, well, first of all, I wasn't that into eating meat really. Like my stepdad is like crazy with eating meat, like every meal, every single day. And so my mom would cook vegetarian things for her, and then like meat stuff for my stepdad and I. And I was just tired of having meat every day. Like, I guess maybe I didn't acquire a taste for it like a lot of other people do, but it was just like all right, and I was just like, oh, I don't want to eat this anymore. And also when I was 16, I watched this movie called Food Inc., and it talked about where your food comes from, and like, I knew that obviously, you know, the animals are killed for you to eat them. And I knew that it was like cruel how they killed the animals, and I just heard, oh, animal cruelty, like I just heard that word, and that was the first time I actually saw what happened, and I was like, oh my god, this is way worse than I expected. They're not just like killing them, they're torturing them unnecessarily. You know, being a vegetarian is healthier too. So one day I was like, okay, that's it, I'm gonna become a vegetarian. I'd been debating it for a while, and then I was like, well, wait a second, maybe I'll wait until a day that I can remember. And I was like, well, today is 9/11, and I was like, I'll remember that date. So I became a vegetarian on 9/11, 2010, and then January this year, 2016, I became a vegan. So I was a vegetarian for about half my life, if you add up the first 6 years and the past like little over 5 years. And so the reason I became a vegan was because even though I assumed that probably the dairy industry wasn't like as great to animals as you would have hoped, I didn't realize how bad it was either. Like I never bothered to look into it. I thought, you know, it probably was bad, but I didn't think it was as bad as the meat industry. Like if you think about going to a farm, if someone's like, oh, we're gonna kill that cow and eat it, then I'd be like, can we not kill it? But if you're like, oh, let's get some milk from the cow, you're not hurting the cow. And so I was like, oh, that's fine. But then I started to learn about like how it's connected to the meat industry and how awful it is. Like it's just as bad as the meat industry, and those animals go there and end up there anyway, and they're tortured and they're getting sick, having all these hormones and steroids and all kinds of craziness put into them, and that's terrible for the animals. It's terrible for my health. I've been looking it up a lot recently, and I'm decreasing my chance of a lot of health problems by becoming vegan. You're less likely to have heart disease, which is the #1 killer, a lot of cancers, kidney disease, all kinds of stuff. Like the list can go on and on and on. and it also connects with the environment. The number one reason for global warming is the meat and dairy industry. All these cows are letting out methane, which causes CO2 to go up into the atmosphere, and it causes global warming. The whole process of the meat and dairy industry, it causes more pollution than all the transportation in the whole world added up. All the cars, all the trains, all the boats, all everything. So it's kind of like a whole chain of awful things. There are like too many animals, and it's causing the global warming. And then all these animals are tortured, and they end up all dying in painful, terrible, awful ways and tortured. And people are like abusing them and like kicking them for fun. And then people eat these animals and they start getting sick. And all this food that we're using to feed these animals is enough to stop world hunger. Animals being tortured, we eat them and get sick. It's bad for the environment. It's bad for like all these hungry people that we're ignoring because we want to kill the animals, we want to eat them. Like, I kind of had an idea that it was bad, but I didn't realize how bad it was. And after learning this, I can't say, oh, I'm vegetarian because I'm against animal cruelty, when I'm still contributing to it by eating dairy. And so I'm not telling anyone what to do, and I'm not saying, oh, you're a bad person because you eat dairy or you eat animals, because a lot of people really don't know what's going on. I think it's just important to be educated about it and make sure that you get all the information and decide where you want to go from there. If you just care about your health, you might not be realizing all these illnesses that you can get just from the food you're eating, and maybe once you look it up, you'll be like, whoa, I don't want to eat that garbage anymore. So yeah, I'm a vegan now and I feel really good. When I wake up in the morning now, I wake up like I'm awake instead of like ignore the alarm, ignore the alarm, ignore the alarm. For like 2 or 3 hours in the morning, I literally have an alarm every 15 minutes. And lately, probably about 60% of the time, I've been getting up at the first alarm, and then like 30% of the time I've been getting up before the alarm somehow. Like sometimes I'm waking up at like 6:30 in the morning and I don't have to get up until like 7 o'clock or something. And then the other 20% of the time, wait, did I do 60? Other 10% of the time, they're not exact. Other 10% of the time, I wake up at like the second alarm. So that's good. I have like a whole lot more energy and I'm like awake. And also my skin has been so clear. I used to get like a pimple like maybe every week or every week to 2 weeks, not like crazy, but since the year started, my skin has been like perfectly smooth, and I always get like these dark acne scars, and so as soon as it's gone, I have like a black mark on my face. So it's nice that my skin is like smooth and it feels really soft. Being a vegan is pretty good. I feel energetic, I look slightly better, and I'm not contributing to all this damage that it does to the world when you eat meat and dairy. So like I said, I'm not telling you what to do. You live your life how you want to live it, but it's important to look it up and decide if what you're eating feels right to you. So I might make another video going more in depth about how it affects your health and how it affects the environment and how it affects the animals, because you would be surprised, if you haven't looked it up before, how big of an impact it makes on the world. So I will see you again soon. Bye!